Welcome back. U.S. Supreme Court today 5-4 ruled against you and me. We have been absolutely butchered by John Roberts. And by the way, those of us in Arizona, this is the second time in a week he knifed us in the back. The court in the decision is contradicting itself. The decision is completely internally inconsistent. And by the way, if you read, and I urge you to do this, go to the U.S. Supreme Court website, download the opinion. If you read Scalia, Kennedy, Thomas, and Alito in their dissent, their blistering dissent, they go through how the majority tortured all logic and understanding in the English language to get to the point that they could say, okay, we're going to do this. Now, I want to walk through this real quickly. I'm very, very angry. I'm very upset about this. But there's a silver lining to the cloud, and we'll get to that at the end of this message. But first of all, the individual mandate was, according to Chief Justice Roberts, who we're going to now refer to as Judas Roberts, Chief Justice Roberts said what? He said, under the Commerce Clause, you can't do this. The Congress can't stretch the Commerce Clause to order people to engage or not engage in an activity. So that was good. Good for them. But what they then did, just the same way that they did Roe versus Wade when they strip mined the Constitution and discovered the right to privacy, and the right to privacy means that you can go inside a woman's body and kill unborn babies. It makes perfect sense to me. Save the whales, kill the babies. It's not a mandate. No, 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 no. It's a tax. And Congress does have the power to tax. Now, tell me, where else in America the taxing power is held to extend to Congress the ability to tax something that people don't do rather than something they do? I don't think this has ever been done before. If you know of a place where we've taxed people for not doing something, I'd be stunned to hear that. Medicaid extension, again, this is totally, wholly, internally inconsistent. The Medicaid extension is struck down as an interference with state power. Now, this is the same U.S. Supreme Court that held that it was totally constitutional under the highway bill that the U.S. federal government could cut off all funding if you didn't enforce the federal speed limit, and they could cut off your highway money. And that's the only reason that states spend any time enforcing a federal speed limit. Otherwise, we'd all have state speed limits. But they don't see it that way. Medicaid, okay, is different. You can't hold the hammer over the state. And I'm glad that they did this, but it's totally inconsistent internally. There's no logic to the decision. So what's happened here is the worst of all possible outcomes for somebody who actually needs medical care and doesn't have insurance, because this entire Obamacare system is going to remain in neutral. No one knows what's going to happen. Everyone said, well, we're on hold till we get before the U.S. Supreme Court. Well, okay, now we're on hold till the election. The good news in this good news, bad news joke is that this has made everybody, whether they're libertarian, whether they're independent, whether they're conservative, Republican, everybody is now in the camp for Mitt Romney, because they understand that Obamacare is a gross violation of your individual sphere of property rights. If the government can force you to buy something you were not buying because the government determines it's good for you, it's game over, people. That's the end. There is no United States of America. There is no longer a constitutional republic where representatives are elected to have government of the people, by the people, for the people. That's over. And everybody knows that. And that's why the polling on this has been wholly consistent from the day he signed it into law until today. 60% of Americans reject this, 30% support it. That's 2-to-1. So the good news is come November, we're going to run these guys out. Now, from a strategic standpoint, it's critical to understand something about what happened. I'm angry at the court. I feel betrayed by Roberts, yada, yada, yada. That's all true. But what I'm angriest about is over a period of 45, 50 years, we on the right have given up our passion about controlling our fate. We're too busy too busy running our business, serving our country, doing whatever we're doing. We're just too busy. And because we're so busy, all of the leftists who spend all their time in the government always trying to incrementally expand it, we've come to depend on the U.S. Supreme Court to strike down the particularly onus, egregious offenses of the left. They're no longer going to do that. Roberts, who sees himself as an umpire and referee, he's not going to do that. Now, Alito we can depend on, Scalia we can depend on, Thomas we can depend on. For God's sake, Kennedy came over to our side and said, look, the government can't interfere in your personal life this much. I never thought I would see a U.S. Supreme Court decision where Kennedy was more concerned with individual sovereignty than was Chief Justice Roberts. It's a dark day for the Roberts Chief Justiceship. This is just, it's awful. Now, finally, one final point on the actual decision. If the individual mandate is a tax, which is what the court said, they said, oh, it would be unconstitutional as a mandate, but guess what? Congress does have the power to tax. It's a tax. If it is a tax, why does the court have jurisdiction over it? Because there's what's called the Anti-Injunction Act, and that precludes lawsuits that would interfere with the collection of taxes. But the court first said that the individual mandate is not a tax. Then they said, so here's the logic. They look at it and they say, okay, the Obama administration called it a mandate, so we say it's not a tax. So the mandate under the Commerce Clause is unconstitutional, but now the Anti-Injunction Act somehow doesn't apply, and it's not a mandate, it's a tax. Okay, bottom line here, you just got the largest tax increase in the history of the world. The CBO cost us out at somewhere between $2.7 trillion and $3.6 trillion. We don't have the money. We're $16 trillion in debt now. We're $100 trillion upside down in Medicare, and we're $100 trillion upside down in Social Security. We don't have the money. How are we going to pay for this? We can't. This is bankruptcy time. Look in the mirror, say hello, Greece. God bless you. God bless the USA.